Good morning, afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Welcome back to Chinoshi Sports with your favorite host, Michael. So without further ado, let's get into today's recording. I'm not going to say today because it may come out on Wednesday. It may come out on Friday. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. So I was sitting in my room, and I was thinking, what if we couldn't stop Thanos? What if we're in Infinity War, Thanos has the Infinity Gauntlet, he's about to snap, and there's no way we can stop him. But what we can do is we can choose half of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to kill off. Who would you choose? Now, initially, for me, that would be a very, very difficult choice. But then I was like, what if I equated superheroes to NFL franchises? That way, instead of thinking about killing off superheroes, guys who I've loved and watched ever since I was a little kid, I can equate it to football franchises. Some who I root for and others I root against, and some I don't care for either way. So with that being said, I have 16 Avengers, and I will give you their NFL team comp, and then I will kill off half of them, and you, sitting at home listening, can kill off your own list of 8. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with number 1, Captain America. Captain America is the New England Patriots, the premier Avenger for the premier franchise. Both rigid, disciplined, and but despite that rigidity and that discipline, they enjoy a lot of success because of it. They're very respectable, but they weren't respected prior to the quote-unquote steroids. With Captain America, it was actually steroids, but you respected his heart, but he was still rejected from service during war. If you look at the Patriots, they had 18 10-win seasons since 2001. From 1961 to 2000, they only had 9 10-win seasons. Like I said, respectable, but not respected. For both of them, their period of reign is over. Cap passed his shield on to Falcon, and Bill Belichick has passed the division on to the Buffalo Bills. Which is exactly why Falcon is the Buffalo Bills. They've always been viewed as the little brother to Captain America, or in this case, New England. Yeah, you may say the Dolphins or the Jets, but if you really think about it, Buffalo has always tried to emulate New England. It just didn't work, from the weather to the fans to even the team color scheme. It always seems like Buffalo is trying to be something that's not. And if you looked at it last year, Buffalo and New England won the exact same way, with a running game and with the defense. New England just wins the division always, so they get all the love. But for both Falcon and the Buffalo Bills, now it's their time to shine. Cap gave Falcon, who is probably one of the most underrated Avengers in my personal opinion, Cap gave Falcon the shield. And not enough people talk about the leap Josh Allen made from 2018 to 2019. The stats aren't dazzling, but the progression still is impressive. He went from 53% to 59% completion, from 10 touchdowns and 12 picks to 20 touchdowns and just 9 picks, 68 passer rating to an 85 passer rating, 173 yards per game to 193 yards per game. And he went from a 5-6 record to a 10-6 record. And the Bills had a terrific draft. Added Stephon Diggs, Josh Norman, Mario Addison, Tyler Matatovic, Matakovich, Vernon Butler. The AFC East is the Bills to lose. The Bills have a firm hold onto the AFC East, just like Falcon has a firm hold on whatever the Avengers becomes. Now you have Iron Man. Iron Man is the Dallas Cowboys. Both are supremely rich and overconfident. And that has always been their downfall. In fact, you can say that they themselves have always been their own downfall. Iron Man's overconfidence. Dallas went from overpaying Tony Romo and completely handicapping their franchise because they didn't want to pay anybody else to not paying Dak early, and now you're in this huge contract negotiation. If it was me, I would have started negotiating after Dak ended the 2018 season 7-1, so the deal was finished by the offseason. That way he knows, hey, you did good, but you still lost to Jared Goff. So hold off on this break the market money, but we'll give you a solid contract. And for both of them, unfortunately, it's over. Tony Stark is deceased. And unless something unforeseen happens in Dallas, I don't see Dallas winning any more Super Bowls with Jerry Jones at the helm. I'm not saying he needs to kick the bucket or die or something like that. I'm just saying with the way Jerry runs the organization, with the way he runs that team, unless something happens that I can't plan for, I don't see the Dallas Cowboys winning another Super Bowl with him as the owner. Now with Thor, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know this would have been a perfect time to say the Minnesota Vikings, but Minnesota Vikings fit someone better, and you'll hear about that later. Now, Pittsburgh, if you were to rank NFL franchises, Pittsburgh will probably rank third behind the Cowboys and either the Patriots. Thor, he's probably the third most important / popular Avenger behind Captain America and Iron Man. Both are tough, hard-nosed, they work hard, and there's a bit of hubris tied to Thor and Pittsburgh Steelers. With Thor, you got, Fat Thor, who's really tied to his mom, really tied to Jodie Foster. He's really tied to his family. And then you have the Steelers. Think about what has happened to the Steelers since 2018. In 2018, you lose your franchise running back due to a holdout. In the offseason, you lose your franchise wide receiver because he's just not happy there. And then in 2019, your franchise quarterback essentially misses the entire season. And yet, despite all of that, you still manage to have a winning record for the past 2 years. This is just something that happens. And if you look at the whole Thor and Pittsburgh Steelers comparison, Big Ben is Mjolnir. Big, hard to move, but surprisingly mobile, hard to stop, tough, hits hard. That's essentially what Big Ben is. That's why he has the name Big Ben. And Thor has fought the Hulk countless number of times in comics, animated TV and film. In the MCU, they fought twice. And these were fierce battles. They've been lifelong rivals. And they somehow made it work to coexist. And the Steelers have always fought the Baltimore Ravens, which is why Hulk is the Baltimore Ravens. And the Baltimore Ravens, to be honest, embodies both sides of the Hulk. You have Bruce Banner. He's really embodied by the front office and Jim Harbaugh. Extremely smart and talented, and they're able to take stuff in stride and engineer new ways to solve a problem. Look, Jim Harbaugh's only had one sub 500 season since 2008. That's with having Joe Flacco ascend and descend and then transitioning over to Lamar Jackson. He won the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, and he's 19-5 in total with Lamar. The Hulk was extremely physical. He fights hard. It's mainly just brute strength. If you look at Baltimore, they're known for their tough physical defense with Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs. And then if you look at how they ran the ball last year, the gap between Baltimore and the second best rushing attack, which I believe belongs to San Francisco, is the same gap between the second best rushing attack and the 30th best rushing attack in the league. The Baltimore Ravens were the best bar none. And the crazy part is they weren't the most smash mouth team. They were just the smartest about it. Next, we have Black Widow. Black Widow is the Chicago Bears. Black Widow like the Hulk, fights with a similar uber physical style, just like Chicago, like Baltimore, relies heavily on the run game and defense. But both of those teams have the limitations. For Black Widow, it's simply she's human. With Chicago, they've always had a talented defense, a talented running back, but they've always been limited at the quarterback position. Here's the list of starting quarterbacks for the Chicago Bears since 2011. Jake Cutler, Caleb Haney, Josh McCown, Jason Campbell, Jimmy Clausen, Matt Barkley, Brian Hoyer, Mitch Trubisky, Mike Glennon, Chase McDaniel. The quarterback of that group with the highest passer rating for the Bears was Josh McCown. Oh, God. That's the best? And only one of these guys was a Pro Bowler. You can argue that he's the worst quarterback on his roster, and that's Mitch Trubisky. Here's the list of Pro Bowlers in that time span from other positions on the field. Kyle Long was a 3-time Pro Bowler. Charles Tillman, Khalil Mack, Brandon Marshall, Eddie Jackson, Kyle Fuller, Tim Jennings, Matt Forte, all made it to 2 Pro Bowls. Cordell Patterson, Tariq Cohen, Cody Whitehair, Akeem Hicks, Alshon Jeffrey, Corey Graham, Jordan Howard, Henry Melton, Charles Leno, Martellus Bennett all went to 1 Pro Bowl. So all those Pro Bowlers on this team, and yet the only quarterback to make a Pro Bowl since 2011 was Mitch Trubisky. And if you look at Black Widow and Chicago Bears, they both made huge sacrifices for the sake of everybody else around them. For Black Widow, she died for the Soul Stone. If you look at Chicago, they died to take Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles, Cody Parkey, Jimmy Graham, so nobody else could make the terrible decision of having them on their roster, or at least giving up a lot to have them on their roster. But nah, in all actuality, both are solid and they can punch above their weight. Black Widow, she can beat guys twice her size, no problem. If you look at Chicago, only 2 of the 8 losses were by more than 10 points. That was against the Chiefs and the Saints. They had the 29th best scoring offense, but the 4th best scoring defense, and they were a shell of the 2018 team that went 12-4 and went to the playoffs. So, despite all their shortcomings, Chicago still at least has some foundation of what to do. Their defense is still elite. So, where they go from here, I don't know. Next, you have Hawkeye. Hawkeye is the Minnesota Vikings. Both of their successes rely heavily on precision. What does Minnesota love to do? Minnesota loves to stay ahead of the chains. Back when I played football in high school, my high school ran the triple option. So if it was 4th and inches, 4th and close, we would always go for it and just run the ball. And my coach always said, if we can get 3 yards on every single play, if we can just go one step down the field, every single play, we're good. And that is what the Minnesota Vikings believe. On 2nd down, when they are 1 to 6 yards from the first down marker, they had a passer rating of 116. When they were 7 or more yards from the first down marker, the passer rating was 102. The difference is even more egregious on 3rd down. From 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 6, they had a passer rating of 123. When there were 7 or more yards to go, they had a passer rating of just 84. Look, if you look at Kirk Cousins' tenure there, he's gone 18, 12, and 1, completed 70% of his passes, 56 touchdowns with 16 interceptions, and has a 103 rating in the 2 seasons he spent there. So I understand where people might say, Kirk Cousins isn't worth the money because he doesn't win enough. But if you look at the stats, if you look at the numbers, and if you just look at how he performs, Kirk Cousins, he may not deserve, top dollar, but I feel like where he gets paid is exactly where he should be. Kirk Cousins, he got paid right before the money's going to start to spike for quarterbacks. You just saw Patrick Mahomes get paid, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson. Those guys are going to be next. They used to have Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield if he has a good year, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen. You have all these guys whose contract years are coming up and they're about to get paid. So we may tweak over this Kirk Cousins contract now, but later we'll be like, wasn't that bad? There's still a good team, still solid. And if you look at Minnesota, you look at Hawkeye. They're both just regular, but the way that they're put together, it works. Look at Hawkeye. He's just a regular human with deadly accuracy. Nothing super. A simple gunshot wound to the right area would knock Hawkeye out for the rest of the MCU. But he has a skill. He has something that is good. If you look at Minnesota, they're not terrifically spectacular or anything. They don't have a top 5 coach. Don't have a top 10 quarterback. Don't have a top 5 running back. Don't have a top 10 wide receiver anymore. Don't have a top 10 tight end. Don't have a top 5 defensive lineman. They don't have a top 5 cornerback. They only have a top 5 safety. They have 2 of those, actually. They have a top 5 linebacker, and that's really it. But if you put all the pieces of that team together, they form a really, really formidable team. Now, Black Panther is the New Orleans Saints. Black Panther and the New Orleans Saints are backed by smart people. T'Challa has Nakia, Okoye, and Shuri. New Orleans has Sean Payton. And Sean Payton, for me personally, of coaches in this era, he's in my top 6. Bill Belichick, John Harbaugh, Andy Reid, Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin. That's in no order, but no matter where you want to place them or where you want to rank them, Sean Payton belongs in that top 6. You can even say he's top 5 if you want to drop one of those other guys out. Now, both of these teams, both of these comps have suffered unfortunate events. Black Panther, he lost his dad, and he had to kill his cousin for the sake of his kingdom. And the Saints, 2017, you had the Minnesota Miracle. 2018, you had the missed PI call, even though the Saints still had a chance to win the game, but whatever. And then 2019, you lose in overtime to the same team that beat you 2 years prior. So the Saints have been through a lot. And also, Saints kind of have a superpower just like Black Panther. The fact is, the Saints seem like timeless. Look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees was still a top 10, arguably top 5 quarterback in the league last year, and he was 40. Mike Thomas was a beast. Alvin Kamara, top 5, arguably top 3 running back in the league last year. Their defense wasn't stellar, but it's a lot better than they've had in the past years. Look up the early 2010s in the Saints defenses that Drew Brees was forced to play with. Completely awful. Now, Spider-Man, he's the Kansas City Chiefs. They're both the hottest ticket out right now. Spider-Man has 2 popular characters. You have Miles Morales with the Spider-Verse, and then you have Tom Holland's Peter Parker with the 2 new movies that just came out. Kansas City has won its first of, I suspect, many Super Bowls with Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyrann Mathieu, Tyreek Hill, Eric Bieniemy. Hopefully they can retain Steve Spagnuolo because that's going to be key for them. And, of course, Andy Reid. They have a lot of spectacle and a lot of wow. Whenever you watch Spider-Man movies, the one thing that always grabs your attention is the scenes where he's swinging on his web through the streets of New York, or he's doing flips, or he's doing these jump kicks, and he's doing all these acrobatic things. And for Kansas City, they've had a top 6 scoring offense each of the past 3 years, and they've had a top 10 scoring offense 5 of the last 7 years. Another thing about Spider-Man and the Kansas City Chiefs is that they're both really, really smart, and not enough people give him credit for that. Spider-Man is just a nerd with powers. And Andy Reid knows that his best chance of success is with a good defense. So what does he do? He makes sure that his defensive coordinator knows exactly what they're doing. In 2018, he knew that the defense was the biggest issue on his team. They had a 24th ranked scoring defense. So he hired Spagnuolo in the offseason. And then in 2019, he had a scoring defense of 7th. Their scoring defense ranked 7th. What does that equal? Super Bowl ring. Reid, this isn't just a one-time thing with Andy Reid. He knows what he's doing. In the past 7 years, the Chiefs has had a top 10 scoring defense in 5 of those 7 seasons. And also, they both have the next legend of the franchise. Tom Holland, with the age of social media, might be the most popular Spider-Man there is. I'm not saying he's the best, but with how accessible everyone is now, Tom Holland might be the most popular one. And Patrick Mahomes, he's making his case. If he's not one of the best quarterbacks in Kansas City Chiefs history, he's already the best quarterback in Kansas City Chiefs history. And with a couple more rings and a couple MVPs and a couple stellar Pro Bowl, All-Pro years, Patrick Mahomes will be in that GOAT conversation. Now, with Doctor Strange, you have the Green Bay Packers. They look towards the future when nobody else is. You remember when Doctor Strange kept saying this is the one way for everything to end up right? And despite all that, people still were upset about the stuff that happened in Infinity War. People still was like, I don't know why this happened, I don't know what that happened. When Doctor Strange already explained that this is the one way that stuff must happen for things to work out. Look at the Packers. Look, when they drafted Jordan Love, I was one of their harshest critics. I said, I don't understand it. I didn't understand it at all. But after a while, all right, look, we just got to get over it. They drafted their heir apparent. It's the same thing they did with Brett Favre, and we're just going to have to get over it. Now, what you can indict the Green Bay Packers for is the fact that they did that while not also helping to win now. But I digress from that point. Now, with both of these guys, you still don't know where either of them will go from here. When you look at Doctor Strange, what role will he take in the MCU? You know? Because Marvel already had a big three. You had Iron Man, he's dead now. Thor, he's rolling with the Guardians of the Galaxy, so I don't know if he'll have any more independent movies. Then you have Captain America, who wanted to get old so he can be with the love of his life, which is commendable, and he gave his shield to Falcon. So there's no more Iron Man, probably no more solo Thor movies, and no more Captain America. So does Marvel make another big three with Doctor Strange included? Because there's another Doctor Strange movie coming out. So did they try to form one with maybe him, Spider-Man, and I don't know, Deadpool maybe? Who knows? With the Packers, it's like you've had a top 10 quarterback for the last decade, and you've only been to one Super Bowl. Granted, you won it, but you've only been to one Super Bowl. Here are the other quarterbacks who's represented the AFC and the NFC in the Super Bowl: Eli, Russ, Kaepernick, Newton, Matt Ryan, Nick Foles, Jared Goff, and Jimmy Garoppolo. You can honestly say that only two of those guys are better than Aaron Rodgers. And only one of them is currently better than Aaron Rodgers. And the other one, Cam Newton, just had a spectacular year. And there was nothing that was going to stop him from getting to that Super Bowl. So when you look at the Packers, you can be like, okay, so what are you going to do now? I mean, you've been unable to put the necessary pieces around Aaron Rodgers to win another Super Bowl. So are you going to keep trying to win Super Bowls, or are you just trying to keep the seat warm for Jordan Love when he comes in? If you look at, now let's move on to Ant-Man. Ant-Man, he represents the Philadelphia Eagles. Because the Philadelphia Eagles can show up either big or small in any moment. Philadelphia in 2017, they won the Super Bowl. In 2018, Alshon Jeffrey drops the ball for the INT that effectively ends their potential game-winning drive. In 2019, they beat Green Bay and they won their last 4 games to clinch the division and make it to the playoffs, including a must-win game against the Cowboys where Carson Wentz literally had nobody to throw to. But Philadelphia also lost to Atlanta, Detroit, and Miami that made that must-win game even possible in the first place. But despite all of that, it's time to acknowledge their greatness. Look, Ant-Man was pure entertainment. It wasn't confusing. There was no convoluted storylines, no random extra Avenger cameo. Ant-Man had the element of fun that wasn't really common in recent MCU films. It didn't have this weight or added pressure of trying to add something to the main storyline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It kind of just did its own thing, and it was received well. And with Philadelphia, look, Peterson's a top 10 NFL head coach, man. Look, if you beat Bill Belichick in a Super Bowl and then you are able to lead your quarterback who has no weapons to the playoffs, look, he's a top 10 quarterback, and he's fun. It's fun. He's lighthearted. There's really 2 ways you can do things in the NFL. You can be rigid and hard, or fun and easygoing. Doug Peterson is fun and easygoing, but he wins, so it doesn't really matter. Who cares that he picked Jalen Hurts with a 2nd-round pick? It's fun. It's fun. I guarantee you, when you turn on your television in this upcoming NFL season, there are going to be a lot of highlights of Jalen Hurts doing something crazy on a gadget play, drawn out by none other than Doug Peterson. And he's the only head coach in his division that's not in the first season with a new team. And he's smart and talented, so he's going to win. He's probably going to win that division. And that, clinching the division and making it to the playoffs, that's fun. And we have to acknowledge that Carson Wentz is a top 6 quarterback in the league. He is. I understand he gets hurt a lot, but look, if he was about to win MVP the same year that Tom Brady won an MVP, or Todd Gurley almost won an MVP, come on, he's solid. He's solid. He went head-to-head with Dak Prescott and beat him when he needed to. And Dak had the better team. So, yeah. Carson Wentz is the top 6 quarterback. It's him, Russ, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers. I guess you could throw Drew Brees in there. But, yeah, Carson Wentz is definitely a top 6 quarterback. And Paul Rudd is a great actor. I like all the movies that he's been in that I've seen so far. And it takes a different kind of person to be able to do Sausage Party and make me genuinely enjoy Sausage Party and then become a respected actor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, there you go. Now, Star-Lord's the Cleveland Browns. For all the brashness and the self-confidence that they have, they truly need everything to go right for their success. And even then, sometimes they get lucky breaks. Like, Star-Lord would have been nothing if it wasn't for the group that he was able to form. Remember, Star-Lord got cool with everybody because a mission of his failed. That's how he met everyone. And even when he got everyone around him, they still needed lucky breaks. They still needed Groot to protect the ship in the first movie, and then the second movie they had to rely on Groot to push the right button. The group got a lot of lucky breaks. If you look at the Browns, everything they need to go right in order to be successful hasn't happened yet. They thought they did. They was like, oh, we found our quarterback, we have our weapons, we fired our last head coach because he was bad. There's no clear second wild card team in the AFC. Big Ben is hurt, so that makes Steelers games 2 wins for us. But we hired the wrong head coach and finished with a worse record in 2019 than we had in 2018. But Cleveland fans were going into 2019 saying we're going to win the division. And now they're going into 2020 saying this is our year. Look, I'm expecting the Browns to be a playoff team this year, but I don't think they're going to be world beaters. I think they're going to go slide in right at that 6th or 7th wild card spot. If they go in, there'll be 3 teams from the AFC North: the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens. That's what I predict. But Cleveland's definitely finishing third in this division, especially if Big Ben comes back and he's at least 85 to 90% of what he was in 2018. Now, Deadpool, he's the Arizona Cardinals. They're definitely not the best, but they are entertaining and will be a force to be reckoned with soon. Deadpool was exactly what the fans wanted. It wasn't about the cinematic artistry or the shot angles or the action shots. It was all about the comedy and the character. That's what Deadpool brought. Deadpool's comedy always slept through the pages. It was never the action. It was never the people he fought or the things he did or the people he saved. It was always him, the character and the persona. And honestly, Marvel couldn't have picked a better person to be Deadpool. Now, Arizona, they will be a problem next year. Don't be surprised if they're a wildcard team next year. They had 5 one-possession losses last year, and they also had a tie. DeAndre Hopkins makes Arizona even more lethal, and look, Kyler is just as good, if not better, than advertised. But unfortunately for both of these guys, there's always going to be doubters on them. But that's okay. If anything, it just adds to how special they are. Remember, when Deadpool first came out, people thought it was going to flop. People didn't know what it was. People just went out to the movies on a whim, hoping to see a terrible movie. But now there's going to be a third film of Deadpool, and there's already a rabid fan base for Deadpool. And Deadpool is now cemented as one of those Marvel characters who may not always be in the spotlight, but always needs the respect. People doubted Cliff Kingsbury when he went to Arizona, saying, "You're just a college coach who didn't win enough. What are you going to do in the NFL?" And he created a pretty solid offense that could both run and pass the ball whenever they need to. All Cliff Kingsbury needs is either to fix the defense or find someone who can fix the defense, and then boom. Arizona Cardinals don't really have any weaknesses. People doubted Kyler, but Kyler is just as explosive as he was in college. He can make every throw, and it's a point that I mentioned a couple episodes ago where people suffered from Cam Newton syndrome when it came to Kyler Murray. People said, "Oh, we're worried that he's going to take unnecessary hits and get hurt." But when have we ever seen Kyler Murray in college take unnecessary hits? We've always seen if Kyler Murray, if he's running and he has the opportunity to get to the outside or go out of bounds if he needs to or slide, he can do that. Russell Wilson, he can do that. But I say the Cam Newton syndrome because they saw what happened to Cam and they saw Cam get hurt. And Cam was an athletic quarterback. So they thought, if anybody runs as much as Cam does, that propensity or the probability of them getting hurt or taking such a huge hit and like adjusting or majorly affecting their career, the chance of that is high. That's what they did with Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson didn't really take big hits like that in college. Neither did Kyler Murray. Neither did Baker Mayfield. You can't just assume that just because these guys are athletic and they move around the pocket and they move outside that they're going to take these huge hits. Some of them are just much smarter than that. Next, you have Drax. Drax is the Tennessee Titans. They're both extremely physical, what I call bruiserweights, and unlike the Chicago Bears or the Baltimore Ravens, who I used to be Black Widow and the Hulk, there's not really a lot of finesse to it. It's just very blunt, gruesome, and aggressive, very rough-edged. Derrick Henry, he's a great runner, and he's emerging as a pass catcher, so the more touches you can get Derrick Henry just to bruise down the defense, so that opens up your playbook for more passes or the play action, etc., etc. That's exactly what Tennessee wants to do. And Tennessee has a solid, great defense all around. I know the loss of Jarrell Casey was big, but I feel like they'll be able to replicate to an extent the same success defensively that they had in 2019. And both of them will be back with a vengeance. Drax, his main motivation is his family. As you know, his family got murdered, so that's why he's motivated to do the things that he does. When it comes to the Titans, they were up 10 in the conference championship game to the Kansas City Chiefs and lost. So the Titans will come back. They'll be ready to go. They'll be fired up. They'll be trying to put that game behind them. And I just hope that they have a resurgence and they're not like the last AFC South team who went to the AFC Championship game. Just look it up. You'll see exactly what I mean. Now, Groot is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Once a formidable force, they had to undergo a necessary rebuild. Groot, because he sacrificed himself for the greater good of the Guardians of the Galaxy. In Jacksonville, they had to rebuild because they had Blake Bortles, and they thought Blake Bortles was going to save them until they lost 40-7 to the Dallas Cowboys, and they realized, okay, we made a grave mistake. But Groot and Jacksonville are both fan favorites. Groot, I am Groot. That whole movement that happened on social media had grown people of all ages, to be honest, saying I am Groot in regular conversation like we're supposed to know what that means. And Gardner Minshew brought Minshew Mania with the jorts and the headband and the mustache, the personality, and the Uncle Rico commercials, etc., etc., etc. And the potential for greatness is imminent because Groot is going to grow back. It may not be soon, but Groot will definitely grow back. And if you look at Minshew, look, last year, 60% completion, 3,200 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a 91 passer rating, 6-6 record. And if you look at the film, if you look at the tape, he plays a lot better than those numbers show. He can move out the pocket, he can wiggle, he can run outside, he has great mobility, he's very slippery, he knows how to extend plays. And that's really, really crucial, especially in today's NFL where the pass rushers are just so elite and so well. And if you don't have a solid left tackle to block those edge rushers, you need to know how to get around, especially in the AFC South where you have the Colts, who has a vaunted defense, the Houston Texans, who have a solid pass rush, and the Tennessee Titans, who have a great defense. So you need someone who's slippery, who's able to get out of the pocket, who's able to evade those big hits. And last but certainly not least, you have Rocket Raccoon, who is the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, there's crazy genius all across the board. Rocket Raccoon, of course, he's like not the brains necessarily, but he's kind of everyone that keeps on track. He creates the plan. He makes sure everybody follows that plan to a T. Look at John Gruden. He traded away Khalil Mack, and everyone said it was a terrible idea. And then when the Bears beat the Raiders, everyone was like, see, John Gruden, you made a terrible idea. And then they looked at the draft picks that they got, and it worked. It worked. It worked. They got Josh Jacobs. It worked. And Gruden was able to turn Darren Waller into a star. In his first 3 seasons in the NFL, Darren Waller only had 18 receptions for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns. In 2019 alone, Waller had 90 receptions for 1,145 yards and 3 touchdowns. If you also look at that 2019 draft, along with Josh Jacobs, they had Foster Moreau in the 4th round, Hunter Renfrow in the 5th round. They combined for 70 receptions, 779 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Now, the insecurities of both of these entities are hidden by the persona and the personality that they carry. Rocket's prickly personality hides the fact that he's actually just a softie on the inside and really cares deeply about everybody. If you look at Gruden, his personality, his genius, his sound bites, they hide the fact that, 1, Oakland has a terrible O-line. 2, they have a terrible defense, so bad that in 2018, they set the franchise record for the most points allowed in a single season. And 3, in the past 2 years, in Gruden's tenure there, the Oakland Raiders are 11-21. That's 10 games under 500. And your quarterback is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league, if not the most accurate quarterback in the league. So, when you look at that, Gruden has definitely done a lot of good in Oakland, but it's not absolute. He still has stuff he needs to work on. Now, after hearing that, who do you cross off? Who are you crossing off into the abandon, into the abyss? Here are mine. Iron Man, who's the Dallas Cowboys, I'm crossing him off. Look, I really like Dallas. I really do. I truly believe that they can be something, but Jerry Jones has not shown me that he has the ability to put another Super Bowl team together. He doesn't. And I frankly don't think that Dak Prescott, he's a great quarterback, but we've seen what he's had with a top-tier defense, a top-tier kicker, top-tier weapons, a top-tier O-line, a top-tier running back. And now he just has a pretty good O-line and a pretty good defense and a pretty good kicker. Still has great wide receivers and a great running back, but we've seen how he's underachieved with all of that around him. So I don't know if Jerry can put something better than that around Dak, and whether or not, if he does put something better than that around Dak, if Dak even improves as far as his production and the win total. So take out the Dallas Cowboys. Um, take out the New England Patriots. Look, I know my guy Cam is Cam. He works there now. He's trying to be the starting quarterback, and I wish the best of luck to him. But look, the New England Patriots saw that we need offense, and I don't feel like they offensively got that much better in the draft or in free agency. But the Patriots know we need offense. We do. Think about this. In every game that the New England Patriots opponent scored 20 or more points, they lost. They went 0-5 in games. 0-5. Yeah, 0-5 in games in which their opponent scored 20 or more points. That's the Patriots. I'm not saying Cam Newton won't fix that, but Cam Newton does have his limitations too. And Cam Newton won't be so ecstatic to try to do everything by himself. That's exactly what got him hurt in Carolina, was trying to do everything by himself. So, cross out the New England Patriots. Keep the Pittsburgh Steelers. I will say this once, and I will say this again. Mike Tomlin does not deserve to be on the hot seat. If anything, he deserves to receive Coach of the Year honors for what he was able to do. He had Pittsburgh within a win. He had Pittsburgh a win away from making it into the playoffs last year. A win away. But he had to rely on Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges in the final game instead of Ben Roethlisberger. So I feel like with Ben coming back and the entire team coming back, there'll be one draft better, one free agency period better. I feel that this team will be in the playoffs next year. Keep the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, look, Lamar Jackson, he's slated. I honestly believe he can be the second best quarterback in this league. He has that potential. It'll be tough because he already has a great cast of quarterbacks now with Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Carson Wentz. Honestly, I think Kyler can crack into that top 5 before long. So it will be hard. I need to see Lamar win a playoff game before I can solidify him in there. But keep the Baltimore Ravens. They're really exciting. They're really fun to watch. So yeah. Get rid of the Chicago Bears. Yeah, I'm just not feeling them right now. Mitch Trubisky, I think we've seen enough of him. Personally, this is me speaking personally, I've seen enough of Nick Foles. Nick Foles really hasn't been impressive since the 2018 regular season. If you look at 2019, yeah, he may have almost got Philadelphia to the conference championship, but he didn't look all that great in the postseason either. And then you get benched. First you get injured, then you come back, and then you get benched to a 6th-round draft pick. So, yeah, I'm not really too high on the Chicago Bears. I'm also out on the Minnesota Vikings. I just think that they'll forever. I'm not gonna say they'll forever be a wild card team, but I don't know. They just never seem to be able to have enough to get over that hump. I mean, you saw it with Brett Favre. Brett Favre was amazing when he was on the Vikings in 2010 or 2011, whenever it was, but they just didn't have enough to get over the hump. And I don't know, especially with Dalvin Cook being a contract dispute and Stephon Diggs leaving the team. That team needs all the weapons it can get to distance itself from not mediocrity but average. So, yeah, I'm out on the Minnesota Vikings. Keep the New Orleans Saints just for the sole purpose of, I truly believe that Sean Payton, if he stays past Drew Brees' retirement or past his career, truly believe that whoever comes in next at quarterback, Sean Payton will help thrive and help succeed. And honestly, I feel like Drew Brees would help as well. I feel like Drew Brees will come back, serve as a special advisory role, or maybe be a quarterback's coach or offensive coordinator or something. They still have top talent. They still have Cam Jordan. They still have Marshawn Lattimore. They still have Alvin Kamara. They still have Mike Thomas. So they still have a lot of great pieces there. So there you go. Keep the Kansas City Chiefs. Like I said, they're probably gonna win 2 or 3 more Super Bowls this decade. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more than that, honestly, because they'll have the best player on the field in Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid is a great coach. So yeah. I'm gonna skip the Green Bay Packers for now. But give me Philadelphia. Look, I know I said Philadelphia shows up big and small in different moments, but I truly have faith in this team. Why? I don't really know. I mainly have faith in Carson Wentz, and whatever they throw around him, so be it. But I truly believe the NFC East is the Eagles' division for now. Unless the Cowboys are able to show me something, Dak Prescott showed me that he's able to win the games that he's supposed to. And he's not going to lose to Josh Allen or Mitch Trubisky or Kirk Cousins or Sam Darnold when he's coming off a mono or Teddy Bridgewater. Once Dak shows me that he's not going to lose games to games of that caliber, then I would consider the Dallas Cowboys. But until then, give me the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the division to lose for the next couple of years. I'm gonna have to say I don't know about the Cleveland Browns. I'm as much as I want to be all in on the Cleveland Browns, and I want to believe in Baker. I want to believe in the stuff that he'll do. I just don't know. I mean, like I said, we all saw Baker with Greg Williams. It was commendable. It was solid. But maybe this is what Baker is. I'ma just say I'm in on the Cleveland Browns just for the sole purpose of I truly believe that Kevin Stefanski, when he comes and he gets to work with this team, he gets to work with Baker, truly brings out the best in Baker. Because like I said last week, the Browns don't need someone to have the same effect on Baker as Greg Williams. As long as he's somewhere in the middle between Hugh Jackson and Greg Williams, that's a win for everybody involved. I'm completely all in on the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray is amazing. He's definitely a franchise quarterback. Cliff Kingsbury, despite all the criticism that he got, he really formed a terrific offense. That team runs the ball surprisingly well. Their defense, I'm going to give it some time just to get it together. If Kingsbury decides to appoint someone as a defensive coordinator who can get that defense in order, that would be perfect for that team. And don't be surprised, like I say, if the Cardinals are a wild card team this year. I truly believe that they have the ability to get that done. I'm out on the Tennessee Titans. Look, I like Ryan Tannehill. I like Derrick Henry. But I just personally feel like once you lose a game like that, like I said, look what happened to the Jaguars. They lost in the AFC Championship game. They lost the heartbreaker to the New England Patriots. And they haven't been the same since. I feel like when it comes to the Tennessee Titans, you committed to Ryan Tannehill. Despite his limitations, you know that you're going to be using a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. So you're going to have to tie him up as well. And I feel like it's just going to limit you otherwise. But you do have great wide receiver weapons who are young, who aren't paid a lot. So that may help. Mike Vrabel is a solid defensive coach. So the defense will always be in order. But I don't know. Just with that division, and there's a very possible chance that Tennessee could have the worst quarterback in that division with Deshaun, Phillip Rivers as he gets back to form, and Gardner Minshew. I don't really know. I'm going to say I'm out on Tennessee. Also, but give me Buffalo. Give me Buffalo. Josh Allen, if he makes another huge leap like he made from his rookie season to his sophomore season, I truly believe that team will flourish. And they add Stephon Diggs. They added a whole bunch of players on defense to an already good defense. So the Buffalo Bills are going to be great to come. And yeah, going back to the Packers, I'm out, man. I'm out on the Packers. I'm out on the Packers. And when I'm saying I'm in or out on the team, I'm basically saying, do I see this team possibly winning a Super Bowl in the next 3 to 5 years? This is what I'm saying. So, I'm out on the Green Bay Packers. I really am. Because, like I said, they've already underachieved despite having a top talent at quarterback. And the fact that they didn't do anything in the draft or in the offseason to help that quarterback get weapons or get enough pieces to help the offense thrive, or even worse, they didn't even get pieces to stop the run, despite the fact that it was the run that killed them in that playoff game against San Francisco and not Aaron Rodgers. The Miami Dolphins, I'm out. I'm out on the Miami Dolphins. They're definitely a solid team, but I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like I just have to see something. Maybe I'll come back to me after this season's over. I'll let you know. But as of now, I'm out on the Miami Dolphins. We don't even know how Tua's going to play. If Tua comes and he has a similar season to what Kyler Murray had last year, then I'll have some hope in it. But until then, I'm going to just say I'm out on Miami and I'm out on Las Vegas. Look, Gruden's done a lot for that team, but that team still has a lot of holes in it. You have either Derek Carr or Marcus Mariota, and honestly, outside of Chicago, that may be the worst quarterback situation you have. At least when it comes to like Washington, where you have Dwayne Haskins and Kyle Allen, at least one of those guys haven't been paid. At least those guys haven't been paid, and you're waiting to see how Dwayne Haskins progresses with a new coach who gives him full support. He doesn't have to worry about being benched. And then you look at Oakland, and you're like, Derek Carr. What can you say to like truly like improve him in some way? What can you say to Marcus Mariota? He lost his spot. He lost his starting spot to Ryan Tannehill, who's going to be the worst quarterback in this division probably next year. You look at Derek Carr, who has a very, very high chance to be the worst quarterback in his division next year as well, assuming that Drew Lock is as good as he was in the final 5 games of 2019, and Tyrod Taylor is what we think he's going to be, which is a really, really solid starter. So, yeah. So, I'm out on Las Vegas. So, just to recap, I'm out on Iron Man. I'm out on Captain America. I'm in on Thor. I'm in on Bruce Banner, who's Hulk in the Baltimore Ravens. I'm out on the Chicago Bears. I'm out on the Minnesota Vikings. I'm in on the New Orleans Saints. I'm in on the Chiefs. Out on the Packers. In on Philadelphia. In on Cleveland. In on Arizona. Out on Tennessee. In on Buffalo, out on Miami, and out on Las Vegas. All right, this is an hour long, so this will definitely be a Friday episode. Thank you guys for listening, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.